I want to go back to one of the first ideas that we came up with. Now, we're going back to the Online Nation days. So we were coming out here, we were hosting the show, you know, basically beginning to host it as it was already beginning to be canceled. One of the producers on the show, Paul, was basically, he became our de facto manager because every time we came out here, we were like, okay, we got ideas.
We got to get something else going.
We got stuff we want to do. Paul Cockrell, you know, he was basically the guy who discovered Pauly Shore. Mm-hmm. The reason why Pauly Shore was the VJ personality that he was on MTV was because of Paul.
And he was instrumental in basically establishing Los Angeles as a home for MTV as well from New York.
Right.
It had basically been a New York thing.
Yeah, he was the first LA guy. And then the other producer of Online Nation was David Hurwitz, who was an executive producer on Fear Factor back in the day, you know, years earlier.
Who famously said to us while we were hosting Online Nation, "More energy."
More energy. That's all he would say.
More energy.
But Paul was more hands-on.
We say that as an inside joke.
So Paul became our de facto manager. So he was the one that we were talking to about all these ideas, scripted and non-scripted. And he was like, "Well, it was like, yeah, we got a scripted idea. We can write a pilot." And we went back home and we wrote what eventually we called Legitimate.
So that was before the reality ideas, or?
I think at the same time, because
I've got the script on my computer and it says copyright 2012.
I think at the same time we were also developing non-scripted ideas. We had two of those.
But we shot
sizzle reels for those.
Those were before because we still lived in North Carolina, because I remember being in the Lillington. Oh yeah. Going around Lillington shooting some of that stuff.
That's where we were when we started writing Legitimate too. So they were happening at the same time.
Okay, so I guess it was just 2012 is when
we can talk about the non-scripted stuff. We had this idea for a reality show, kind of like Dirty Jobs, but instead of micro, it's the two of us going around to like redneck, what I call redneck hobbies.
Lawnmower racing.
Redneck pastimes. Yeah, lawnmower racing, noodling. That's where you dig your hand down into a river and you get a catfish to eat your hand. Like, we were gonna go do these things and we were like, hey, we know enough of these people. We can put something on tape, so to speak, that can sell this idea. Because it's like, hey, we still can tap into that good old boy nature, you know, we still live here in Harnett County. And my dad knew all of these guys who participated in competitive lawnmower racing.
Right.
And so we went out there, we got permission to film the whole thing, and then we started interviewing guys, and like, I mean, there's some funny moments when we were
we participated in the lawnmower race.
These are not normal lawnmowers, they're like drag racing versions of lawnmowers, and they pull a sled in a straight line, and whoever can get the furthest, the fastest wins. And yeah, we talked a guy into letting us ride his lawnmower in the competition, and we made complete fools out of ourselves, and it was perfect.
It was funny.
In our mind.
It was funny. I mean, again, I can't.
We called it Good Old Boys.
Good Old Boys. I can't help but be the 10-year later producer and be like, oh, the fatal flaw with this idea was that we assumed that we had the right. In other words, like, okay, Dirty Jobs of Mike Rowe kind of makes sense a little bit. Like, it started as like, he was like this guy doing this bit on the radio, and he's this older guy that's like highlighting these people in America. We were just like two dumbasses who were like a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll, who thought we could go and just hang out with rednecks and have fun. And while I do think it would have been a funny show, people were at the time looking for like, what's your in? Like, why you guys for this thing? And so it just kind of died on the vine.
Like, maybe it should be Larry the Cable Guy. Is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the video version of this thing, we can show you a clip. We'll dig up the archive. At the same time, we developed another pitch because we told Paul, well, you know, we also have engineering degrees. We can, you know, we're smart guys. we developed a pitch called This or That.
Now this was a good idea.
We couldn't call it Would You Rather because Would You Rather was
It's copyrighted.
trademarked or whatever it is as a game. We looked into licensing it, like Paul looked into that, but like they wouldn't have any part of it, so we just changed it to This or That. But it was as far as I can remember, we would pick two things. Well, it was a Would You Rather scenario.
It was Would You Rather.
That could actually be carried out.
And we would both do one side of the thing and come to the decision of which one was the actual correct answer.
We would actually definitively know because we've experienced both sides of it. So like
we shot a reel for that too.
Would you rather?
There was a fire hose involved in one scene.
I think it was, would you rather be pelted with a full blast of a fire hose for X number of minutes, or have to walk around town an entire day completely soaked? And so then we cut to a shot of one of us dousing ourselves completely with water from head to toe, like boots filling up with water in the Walmart parking lot, and then walking into Walmart. So you get an idea of, okay, camera's gonna follow around one of us who is like constantly soaking himself and trying to conduct normal life, maybe get a mortgage, I don't know. So it's a bit bitty, kind of sketchy, but then we also cut to the other person who was standing in front of a fireman with a hose, and he started blasting us with water.
It was Joey Smith.
Yeah, because I mean, back in Harnett County, you got these connects.
He was serving with the Lillington volunteer fire department and had access to a fire hose. And did we actually get sprayed with the fire hose that day? Or did we just make it look like it was about to happen? I can't remember.
I'll have to look at the footage. I'm pretty sure that we were just far enough away
that it wasn't crazy.
That it wasn't that crazy, but I might just be making it up in my mind. The footage will tell.
That particular example that we used for the pitch is not great, but the show still
there were other examples
still makes sense
too. I think we had 2 more sets of examples, but that's a fun idea.
Yeah,
I think we revisited it a few times
maybe as a web series.
As a web series, I'm surprised we didn't pull the trigger on it because it's almost something that we could do.
Well,
now.
We ended up doing Would You Rather as a GMM segment, and that's when I baby birded things into your mouth.
Yeah.
So it's a little. It just made the smaller, more producible version of that.
The last thing I remember we did with Paul was, instead of us coming out to LA, one time he said that he was coming out to Maryland for something, and he said, "You boys need to drive up because the Discovery Channel headquarters
Silver Springs
is in
Maryland.
Silver Springs, Maryland, right on the edge of Washington D.C. That's where you had to meet with talent, the development for if you wanted to have a show on the Discovery Channel. And you know, we really thought because we had engineering degrees, we should be able to come up with an idea.
Man.
Did we take This or That to them? I think we took a couple of other ideas, but I remember it being
all the ideas.
It was more of a meet and greet meeting too, where it was like, yeah, we should work together. Sometimes it's not about the pitches, it's just about getting to know,
I remember I remember an idea that we pitched to them, and I'm afraid to. I still think this is a great idea for a show. It was our answer to a Man on the Street show. It was our answer to Cash Cab, and it was called Guesstimators.
Oh well, yeah, because we brought that back as a magic number. We'll talk about it later.
But do you remember? So. The Guesstimators idea, which yes, we brought back as a different idea that was more contained, but the original idea for Guesstimators was that we would be, and this is sort of based on the thing that we do on GMM sometimes, which is we try to guess a number of something. But this was like, you're on the street, and let's say one episode takes place in New York City, and so we walk up to somebody on the street and we say, "Sir, right there, you see the Empire State Building? How many windows, individual windows, do you think are on the Empire State Building? If you can get within 10, you're gonna win $1,000 right now," or something like that. And so then it would be like the dude would guess and he would be wrong or he would be right. But then there would be this like graphical, sort of like animated thing where it would be like, here's the Empire State Building, and all of a sudden, like animated like overlay on it would show you like there's this many windows and they're made out of this and they're this big and they attach in this way.
Yeah, so you'd learn all this. You'd learn all this stuff through the animation.
Right.
And but you would also get it if you're one of those people like you that really loves to guesstimate things and is actually really good at it. We thought that was another part of it. Is like you've always done that. You've always made me guess things just so I could look like an idiot.
Right.
So it's like that foil. And this is part of our pitch. It's like, hey, you're really good at estimating and I suck at it, so maybe there's a way to play into that for some comedy.
Right.
So yeah, that was a fun idea. I mean, you have to believe in the ideas to really pitch them.
Yeah.
You know?
In the moment especially.
But then it's like, it's
you can question them later.